Everyday Boss Bells is brought to you by Just Create JA, LH Multimedia, Jamaica Observer, Catherine Speak Spring Water, Adam and Eve Day Spa and Salon, Reasons and Seasons Decor, CPJ's Yellowtail Bubbles Sparkling Wine, New Levels Decor, the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Carissa Zoe Makeup Artistry, and Cali Danny Designs. Hi everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Everyday Boss Bells. I'm your girl, Micheline Letman, the PR Belle. I am super excited. Everyday Boss Bells is about talking to some amazing women about their career, life, and everything in between. It's gonna be fun, inspirational, and impactful. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming a lady that is near and dear to me. Her name is Alysia White. She is my boss and an everyday boss belle. Hey Alysia, welcome.
I am so proud of you. Oh goodness.
Don't
Pick up
cry.
yourself.
Don't cry. No crying.
You've been the boss belle though, all along, but okay.
Thank you. I have the privilege of working with you, and 2020 has been a tough year, but you manage a team of almost 30 persons remotely, and I wanted to know, how do you do that? How do you keep everybody together and ensuring that the business of the company that you work for still goes on?
Okay, so as a leader, I think the most important thing that I've learned, this is through many years, because let's just face it, I haven't always been in a leadership position.
Yes.
But I believe that I've always been a leader, and it is something that has been developed in me. There are many persons who don't attain the title of manager, assistant manager, vice president, etc., but they're leading people. And I found that once you have found the persons in your organization or in your team that are leaders, focus on leading them to greater leadership. And it's almost like clockwork, the way things fall into place after that. You find the people who are the influencers. You find the people who are leading teams even without knowing it. Influence them, pour into them more than you would pour into everybody else. But and this is an unpopular opinion, I'm aware, but you have to sift. You have to sift. You have to shift. It's not that I don't have a pulse on everyone in my team. I think that I'm friends with most persons. We all have a healthy respect for each other, at least. I have some great friends. I have some friends who I've met along the way in my team. And I think that it is a matter of making sure that you know what are the things that make your team tick, what are the things that make them angry. It's also a matter of what makes them sad, what makes them unhappy. It's a lot to take on personally. And one of my greatest weaknesses is that I take things on a lot. And because you've Ali, stop.
Yes, delegate, Alysia.
Yeah,
delegate.
Exactly. You are one of those strong persons who have led me to become a better leader. And it's a matter of making sure that the persons that you respect, the persons that you're watching, the persons that you're seeing all the time, make sure they know that you have their respect also.
So would you say in all of that you empower persons who you see leadership potential in order to kind of bridge that gap between yourself, who's managing God knows how many persons? It's almost like you shift some of the power to other persons so they can also take on some of the leadership.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If I were to step out of my role now and move away from the organization that I'm in, and someone is not able to take the mantle or take the baton, whatever, and run with it immediately from my team, it means I have not yet led. So if you are a leader, you must be planning for succession. Now, one of the worst things about leadership is separation. And when one of my team members says, boy, Alysia, I've decided that I'm going to move on, or boy, now I'm head of department. But before, even when I just had a little section of my
section, a big section,
a little piece of my marketing team. Even then, if somebody told me that they were resigning or they were leaving, I would start to panic immediately, not because I want them to stay, because I do believe that people need to move on. Some people stay forever, some people move on. It's cyclical, and you just have to accept that. But more so because you have to have a plan of action for when you are not there. Mm-hmm. You must, if 2020 has taught us anything at all, it's that you have to plan for any eventuality. And if you do not, you would not have led. You have to develop those persons. Because not because and I hate
So do you take it personally if somebody, especially under your leadership, do you take it personally that they have left the job or the department? Because there's a lot of talk that people don't leave jobs, they leave their managers, for example.
Well, that's not true.
So there's a saying.
Yeah, no, but I've heard that saying, but I don't believe that's true, and I believe whoever came up with that
is bitter.
Was
yeah, they weren't a manager. They wanted to be a manager and didn't make it. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
Bitter, one. And maybe they were researching something different from what we are experiencing now. Nowadays, I find many people have stayed. I know. I mean, there are people who have come to me to tell me that they're resigning. I said, no, where are you going, please? No, you're not. Just pack me things. Go home, sleep on it, and come back. You're not. Because in my mind, this is what I take personally. If you leave me and then go and stress out somebody else, I'm going to have a problem. I'm going to have a problem. We need to develop you to the point where you can move into your next position greater than where you are now. If I hear from some manager, and hey, the world is small. If I hear from your next boss that, boy, you couldn't tell me that so-and-so, the weakness is really far out with it, I would feel terrible.
Yeah, like you didn't do enough.
Yeah, I take those things personally. But to your point, though, I try not to take it personally when people leave me, because I try to have a good relationship with people. At the same time, there are people who have left because they don't like me. There are people who have left other organizations because they don't like their boss. But then I'm still in the position that I'm in, yeah? So I have to make sure to move past that, because there's a whole other section of people, or a whole
depending
other
on you to lead.
Depending on me to lead. And my superiors are also depending on me to do my job so that they look good too.
Tell me, how have you maintained that level of bigness in 2020, seeing that COVID kind of derailed a lot of the plans? How have you pivoted?
I hate that word so much.
It's the
do you know that?
Yes,
Have
I
told
know.
You? Is that why you used it?
I'm just saying. Right. It's the new word. It's the new word. Come on, let's just accept it. We've pivoted.
Okay, so we've
adapted.
Yeah, we've pivoted, we've adapted, we've made sure that things are still moving and still, however, what has happened is persons, during a crisis, there are some who crawl into a shell. And I have the amazing privilege of leading a team of people who, they might have anxiety. They might have tremendous stress over what they're going through. They might be people who need to see and feel and touch people. But in a crisis, I've realized that there are those persons, the majority of my team, are those who will do the most. Like, they come out extra when there's a crisis, that like the brainstorming and the ideation sessions and everything has been turn up. Is that the phrase that you young people use?
I don't know who is the young people.
Yeah, but
turn up.
what has been, I will say that what has been difficult is maintaining that social capital, because events have been our hallmark in our department for such a long time, and getting together and seeing each other and feeling and touching and talking to each other across desks and across cubicles and going into this office and sitting by this person. Yeah, so that has been hard to maintain the social capital. Trying to get y'all to keep your cameras on in a Zoom or Teams meeting.
Zoom meetings are going to be the death of people in 2020.
Oh, Lord. I'm so glad 2020 is almost over. Well, anyway, but yeah, so I've been, to pivot, you have to have people who are willing to, pivot comes from the, well, I know of it because of basketball. And when a basketball player is pivoting, he's standing in one position and moving to this section and moving to that section and trying to find another team member to pass the ball to.
We'll get some male fans here. Basketball. Right. I was going to say I know it from netball, but okay.
Or netball. But when you pivot, you're trying to find either you're shooting, or you're trying to find the next person in the team to hand off to, and you can't pivot without a team. Well, what are you pivoting for? Just to change your perspective? No, you're handing the ball off to somebody else, and then you run to another section and that person is pivoting, and then they're passing it over to you. It's a term that I think if people really understood or watched a game in play with a team, they would not feel so lonely during the pandemic and the pivoting. I don't think so.
Okay, well, that's good. That's a good reference. But in pivoting, you talk a lot about team and passing things on. How do you think team plays a role in how you lead?
Oh, so the team is more important than the work to me. That's not something that's a popular opinion. The team dynamic, the team health, the team's mentality, the team's focus is far more important to me than the output. I feel like if you get your team in order, the output will automatically be one of excellence. So I believe in pouring into. I believe strongly, as you know, in training. And not just training on customer service and client experience and that kind of thing. No. Training, training in life skills. Again, after you leave working for me or working with me, what will you take on your next journey? And is it something that you can say, boy, yeah, I have many friends who have been team members of mine, who have been bosses of mine, who we're friends to this day and will continue to be so for a very long time, perhaps into eternity. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But that's because I believe in developing the person, the individual, for the job that they are going to be doing, yes, but also for the life that they're living.
Yes, you're not working just for the job.
You can't, oh, you must do that. You can't do that. Work for the job. That pop down. I can't go so.
What are some of your leadership qualities, like top leadership qualities, or the qualities that you believe makes a great leader?
My top leadership quality, I think, is listening. I listen well to my team members. I do not always believe in democratic leadership. I believe that you're a leader to make a decision. And sometimes, I've seen persons, raise your hands if you want, and raise your hands if you want. And it could be a vote of 32 to 31. And, okay, the ayes have it. No, sir.
The ayes don't. No, you choose.
No. Let me hear your arguments for. Let me hear your arguments against. I'm a good listener, and I'm also a good influencer. So I find it amusing, present company included, when I have the strongest opinions coming from particular team members, and I'm able to sway them to an opinion of another team member. Now, if that other team member had said it to somebody, I don't think it would have been received the same way. But I have an ability to influence persons towards common consensus, I would say. Uh, so listening, influence, and excellence. I do not like pop down. Don't believe in it, none at all. I think that we are required when we're called in this life to be great. No matter who you are, where you are, whatever you're doing, we're called to be great. And I believe in influencing people towards that. Excellence is a hallmark of mine as a leader. Influence and having your ear
No
to the
pop
ground.
downness.
No, man.
Okay, well, we don't do mediocrity.
No, not at all.
Straight excellence,
Yes.
right? Okay, great. But Ali, what's the best leadership advice you've received to date?
Read. My mentor, Pastor Che Cohen, my husband and I, they both have, and I've learned to follow my husband and follow his leadership. Read a lot about the things that concern you and concern the persons you are asked to lead. And secondly, I know you asked for one.
Share as many as you please.
You cannot lead if you can't follow. So you just can't. You are not able to lead anybody if you, the person, you individually, don't have the capacity to follow another leader. And if you think of any leader, any of the great ones, they all have somebody who they are accountable to, who is saying to them, and I'm thinking of pastors, I'm thinking of presidents and teachers and wives, husbands. There must be somebody who you look to lead you, because you as an individual, we're all flesh and blood, we're all human beings. You cannot have all the answers in this life. You cannot. So if you are not able to follow somebody else, then you cannot lead a team of people. Don't bother to try it.
That's an excellent point, and you raised the topic of your husband, and that brings me to one of my other questions in terms of your leadership outside of your corporate life.
Yes.
What are some of the other areas that you lead in? And you mentioned, which maybe we're in the era of feminism and being a feminist, and you mentioned following the lead of your husband. Speak to us about that.
Well, I'm not a feminist, but I respect and appreciate the position of feminist colleagues that I have. Because of my Christian background and the way I was raised, I have been raised to believe that my husband is the head of my household. So I can follow him. I think I have a unique ability, though, as I said, to influence him. And I use that ability as much and as often as possible.
Good. That's how it should be.
I feel in no way disenfranchised as a wife. As a matter of fact, some of the decisions he has to make on a regular basis, I feel sorry for him. I'm just like, oh boy, sucks to be a man. But he's doing a good job. I love you. He's doing a good job. So I don't feel like I'm subservient to my husband in any way. I feel like we have an amazing partnership. Where it comes to money, we're partners. Where it comes to raising our children, we're partners. Decisions about what we should do in our house, we're partners to an extent. My husband, for example, as a great leader as well, he's the youth pastor of our church. And as a great leader as well, he has taught me that the things that he is not experienced in, those are the areas in my household that I will continue to lead on. My husband has never asked, why am I buying that curtain? That's not his job. That's not leadership. That's your strength. Let the people who empower the people who are in your home or whatever to do. I mean, simple things like choosing the shower gels and this. No, seriously, because you have to. My husband is in a home with 4 women.
Yeah,
we have 3 girls. That's a lot. Have you trying to live day in, day out with 4 women? That's hard work. But a simple thing like choosing the shower gels when we go to the supermarket, that job for the one for all intents and purposes belongs to my second child who's 6. But that's what she must do. She's
She
empowered.
chooses what we
she's
use to
empowered
shower.
to do that. You have to
Teaching them some responsibility,
you have to
delegating.
yes, you have to teach responsibility early. So yeah, I don't, in fact, we barely talk about it. We barely talk about who's the head of the house, who's leading, who's whatever. No, we don't. I mean,
But
it is
when
what
you
it
have a
is.
great partnership, that
We have a
comes
partnership.
naturally.
Yes, we have a good partnership. We really, really do. And as a mom, I think that's harder to me. My personal experience is it's been harder than being a wife, because my husband and I are both adults, and we made a decision to be together, to be married, to live together in our matrimonial home. My children didn't make a decision to come here.
Yeah,
We made that decision,
Yeah.
and they're now here, and they're begging me. They're literally at. There's nobody else. They're here,
yeah.
and I am.
That's a lifetime job.
Yeah, man, I'm
yeah.
responsible to lead them on a daily basis. Sometimes they're not going to like what you do. That's not.
Especially when they get to the teenage
Yeah,
years.
girl. I have a 2-year-old right now who everybody calls her the area leader, the Don, because you're already seeing these kind of qualities, fierce qualities in her. But my responsibility is to raise her to be a woman that is a leader, an influencer, who is conscious of worldviews and conscious of what is happening around her. And that is hard work. Hardest job I've ever done. Hardest.
Wow. So with all your family obligations, work obligations, what are some of the other things that you do?
I think the main thing that I do, I've been an active member of my church, and I've been a leader in my youth ministry for 21 years now.
That's a long time.
Very long time. Since I was 19, I've been leading youth, children. Formulated a program years ago called the Joseph Project, which unearths the creative talent in young people, because I truly believe Jamaica is a country that needs a lot of help. We have a lot of issues where our youth are concerned, and I believe that giving youth an outlet to create, to express, is something that, one, I'm called to, and two, will help our country beyond where we are right now. So when I was 18, 19, I spoke to my pastor and I told him what my vision was, and he said, all right, go on, run with it. I think he also, David Keane, God rest his soul, he also instilled a lot in me in terms of leadership, because he really allowed me to do many things that a young person my age really,
Would not be doing.
No.
Or you wouldn't care to do.
No. I wouldn't care to. He pushed me. He encouraged me. He let me run with it. He instilled a lot in me in terms of my leadership capabilities, and just allowing me to run with certain things. So that I did that for about 8 years. During that time, I was also a youth leader. So that the Joseph Project would have been for young children between 5 and 12, but I also led
That's a whole heap of work doing that.
it was a lot of work, still is. There is the teenage ministry. My husband and myself, we lead that now. I'm primarily responsible for the more in-depth programs like camps and that kind of thing, and he is responsible for our weekly or bi-weekly gatherings. Now we do it on Zoom, which I love.
Zoom.
Which
Zoom.
I know, it's a
Everything
thing.
is on Zoom.
I like it. It have a vibe. The children don't need to come anywhere and to endure the cost of transportation and whatnot. They just need to get on their phone, get some data, and we're all gathered together. And anyway, so I love that. I'm the dance ministry leader at my church. I've been dancing for 30 years now. So I lead the dance ministry. I don't dance as much now. I'm trying to hang up those ballet shoes. All my children are dancing, so maybe one day they will be in leadership at that sphere, in that sphere as well. I also I used to be a television broadcaster. I used to host a morning show, and one of my absolute favorite things to do is to talk to people, interview people. Just a friend of mine
Funny
said,
enough, look at you, you're
yes,
on the other side.
yes, yes. I did that for 9 years, and it was one of my favorite things to do. And out of that, you can call it a segue, if you would. I became a MC of sorts. So event MCing, that now I absolutely love. Wedding MCs, function MC, I love it.
What about it is
It's
so
just the energy from the crowd, and the way everybody wants to help me to MC the various functions.
you're like
I love
telling
it.
you
Oh my
what to
gosh.
say.
Passing me notes, telling me various. And worse, I love to do it in Jamaica, because we know our things.
Yeah.
Jamaicans, yeah. So I really enjoy that.
Oh, nice. Well, you have many talents. You didn't speak. I know that you do a lot of voiceover talent.
I do. Yeah. Well, yes. So what happened with that? Funny story. My leader, my youth leader, when I was in church as a teenager, I think he asked me to read something one Friday night at our youth meeting, and this is before I went to Carmack, before I even thought of anything like this.
Before TV?
Long before TV. He said, "You have an awesome voice. Have you ever thought of media and communication?" Before that moment, I had never thought about it, because I wanted to be a lawyer.
Oh, Lord.
I can talk. Understand? And I can talk, and I watch
The noble
TV
profession.
And, yeah, man, I watch the TV, and I watch my Matlock, and I watch my Perry Mason, and yeah, I'm down for being a lawyer. Then I watched the O.J. Simpson trial, and then I was like, this is not how it look on TV. Anyway, so he said to me, "Why don't you try media and communication?" And I thought, let's try it. And then I researched. I went to Carmack. I went on to do my master's in international communications. So I'm a communicator at heart. Being a communicator and doing your degree in that, you would realize that there is almost like the world is wide open for you because of all the things that you've learned. And I think communication is an art that you don't need to get a degree in it, but you need to know how to do it.
But how do you encourage persons to learn the art of communication? What are some of your tips?
I strong arm many people. One of the things that I encourage people to do is talk to themselves. Yes, I said it. Talk to yourself in the mirror, talk to different people. There are so many different sectors of society. Some marginalized, some privileged, some persons who we would consider poor but rich in spirit, some persons who are rich in spirit, rich in material possessions but very poor in spirit. Talk to a wide range of people. Talk to creative people. Talk to shy people. Talk to your dogs. Talk to your plants. But communicate. Some people are not going to answer you. Your plants should not be answering you. Your dog will.
If you start to hear your plants answering, that something is
something
wrong.
is wrong. Your dog might. Talk to your children. Talk to your husband. Just speak. I also encourage people to watch cultural programs on television. We live in an era now where everything is on TV. We communicate a lot. I encourage people to be on social media within reason. Make sure to monitor your screen time. But see what the world is like. See what's happening. I mean, gone are the days when we would just sit at home and read the dictionary.
I used to read the dictionary.
I loved that. Expanding your vocabulary. Reading, not just reading self-help books. Otherwise, you'll start to sound like something that people don't want to hear from. But also read some novels, read some romance.
Do you believe in self-help books?
I believe they have a place. They have a place. There are some that are identical to others. And you don't need to read them all. But they do have a place, especially for people who need the help. You
have said so much, and a lot of it is really authentic in terms of your leadership style. And to close our very first episode of Everyday Boss Belle, we want to ask, what are your top 5 traits you believe an everyday boss belle should have?
Top 5 traits. This is a very hard question, and I might take my time in answering.
No problem. Let's hear them.
An everyday boss belle, as the term, which I love by the way, as the term, as this signifies. You have to be a woman that is, I don't want to call it groans. You have to be able to exist in your everyday life. I suppose the word I'm looking for is balance. You have to have balance. You are an everyday boss belle is not wanting to be a boss at all times, despite popular opinion, in spite of what many people might think. Sometimes as a woman, you want to relax. You want to put your feet up. You want to say, yes, I have the power to do this and I did it well, and celebrate that. But there comes a time when you want to just retreat. So you must have balance. You must have compassion. I think it's important that you are not haughty, but you're compassionate to the plight of those around you, and be willing to embrace the fact that not everybody is going to see things the way you do because of what they have had to experience in their lives. And we have to have compassion surrounding that. You also have to embrace that spirit of excellence that is within you. So I said balance, compassion, excellence. And when I say excellence, I mean excellence in how you present yourself on a Saturday morning at the supermarket. That's important too. It's true.
And it doesn't mean dressing up.
No.
It just means
it don't mean dressing up.
Not wearing your pajamas.
Yeah, but you can't wear your pajamas. You can't wear the clothes that you wore the day before. You understand what I'm saying? You have to show up with excellence every single time you have an opportunity to do that. You also have to be willing to celebrate the people around you, celebrate yourself.
Yeah, I'm all about the celebrating.
Celebrate yourself. I think that we've grown up, and many women have been told many times too, you're too much, you're too enough, you're coming like salt, you must just dress back little, small up yourself. No, celebrate those around you and celebrate yourself. And finally, humility. Pride comes before a fall, you know. And you've heard the saying, the higher monkey climb, the more exposed. Mm-hmm. People who have made humility or have tried to be humble in their life, they don't necessarily get as exposed as the people who are always puffing up themselves and saying, I'm better than. And humility is an art. It's an art. It's something that can be learned. It's also something that finds you if you are not careful. So be humble.
Alysia, you spoke about humility. I want you to explain to me, because there's a fine line between humility and being assertive or having confidence. How do you encourage persons to strike that balance?
Well, humility is not shy. Humility is not quiet. Humility is not I'm good at this, but I don't talk about it. And I think that's something that people need to let go of with immediate effect. I mean, just because you are excellent at what you do doesn't mean that you are not a humble person. That, if you think about it, that doesn't mesh. And I think humility has to do, this is Alysia now, I didn't look in the dictionary. I think humility has to do with knowing that you're excellent at something, but knowing also that somebody else is excellent too. Somebody else is even better at some of the things that you do than you are. And it always keeps you in a place of humility. It keeps you in a place of
you're not better than somebody else.
I'm not better than somebody else because I do my job well, but I'm really good at my job.
Okay, see? You can be assertive and be humble.
Yeah.
There you have it with Alysia White. Thank you so much, Alysia.
You're welcome.
But before we go, we are going to celebrate. That was a major point in your top 5 for an Everyday Boss Belle. And we're going to close the show with some bubbly.
Yay.
Everyday Boss Belle's Toast segment is brought to you by CPJ's Yellowtail Bubbles Sparkling Wine. Woo! Everyday Boss Belle's Toast segment was brought to you by CPJ's Yellowtail Bubbles Sparkling Wine. Thank you guys for staying with us for the very first episode of Everyday Boss Belle's. Please stick with us over the next few weeks as we interview some amazing women about their life, career, and everything in between. I'm your girl, Micheline, the PR Belle. Everyday Boss Belle's was brought to you by Just Create JA, LH Multimedia, Jamaica Observer, Catherine Speak Spring Water, Adam and Eve Day Spa and Salon, Reasons and Seasons Decor, CPJ's Yellowtail Bubbles Sparkling Wine, New Levels Decor, the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Carissa Zoe Makeup Artistry, and Cali Danny Designs.